It's not over.
Stop the fight!
People.
Everybody, I come here for everybody. Kill everybody. I'm the champ. I'm the king. Kill everybody. Ah!
All right, guys. Lane here with Broke Bets, giving you guys our picks for Luque versus RDA and the whole card. Got my guy Carson here with me.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Let's go. First fight, we got Terrance McKinney versus Mike Breeden. Gotta go with Terrance McKinney. He's just a killer be killed fighter. I'm really shocked that he's coming in here on short notice against Mike Breeden. It is a super winnable fight for him, but when you're going on a little bit of a losing spree, inconsistent results, and I don't know, just you're kind of a name with hype. It'd be like he doesn't have the name of Paddy Pimblett per se, but like it'd be like if Paddy Pimblett were to come back 2 weeks after a loss and fight again. It's just a little bit surprising. I'm gonna say McKinney gets the first round knockout here, but just shaky results from McKinney.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think McKinney or the UFC would want him to take this fight if they didn't think he could win this matchup. It should be a winnable matchup, like you said. Yeah, I mean, Breeden's been KO'd in the first round a few times, and I see that continuing here. I mean, short notice or not, I don't think it will really matter for McKinney. I mean, he's always explosive in the first round and doesn't have cardio, so he's going to go all out in that first round, and I think he's going to get it done then.
Yeah, and I think the McKinney unders already hit, and then just watching the film back on Mike Breeden, I really think it's going to hit, just because you watched the Natan Levy fight with Mike Breeden, and he was pressure the entire fight. Breeden was trying to put the pressure on Levy, and he had some decent moments. He had some good body work. Not particularly the best punches, but he did just, put good pressure on Levy, and I think that Terrance as well can get this fight to the ground pretty easily. I've said it last time he fought. He has great back control, and it was, evident in that Sedikov fight. But when the dude just also defends the submission for the entire round, like Sedikov did, kind of just burns out McKinney's legs, and there's no really return. I just think that Terrance could either take this fight to the ground, get a quick choke, or, like you said, with Breeden being knocked out multiple times before. And it's also like, some of them are rough knockouts. Like, even in the Levy fight, he was hurt multiple times. In the Hernandez one, really stunned until flatlined. And Terrance comes with that pressure, that killer be killed mentality. It's probably going to be a quick knockout. So I like the under. I like Terrance. Maybe just Terrance by finish. There's a lot of options here. Any more thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if Terrance is winning, it's probably in that first round. So Terrance first round is probably.
Yeah, Mike Breeden, I had one other thought. Mike Breeden's like, if I had to compare him, he's just like a Tucker Lutz, or like, he's just one of these guys that's like a filler fighter, not particularly great anywhere. He's tough enough to like stick around a little bit, but not going to really wow anyone. He's not going anywhere. It's just the reality of a lot of the fighters in the UFC. So, yeah, Terrance, knockout, round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Josh Parisian versus Martin Buday. Got to take Martin Buday. Just the more consistent fighter. I think he's going to have a better clinch. He's good in the clinch, slightly better hands. And Josh Parisian, I said this the last time we did a breakdown for him. Other than his opponents gassing out, really doesn't bring anything to the table. He's kind of just a fat slob, and once his opponent slows down, that's where he can kind of take over. And Buday doesn't seem to really show to slow down, so I think Buday takes this one by decision, and that over will be a number I will be looking at.
Yeah, I mean, for Parisian, he, like you said, relies on his opponents to gas out after that first round, and then he usually wins those later rounds, but Buday's not gassing out. In that Collier fight, Collier probably won that first round, and then Buday started taking over in that second and third. He's got a really good clinch game. He does throw really slow kicks, which is really annoying if you're betting on him.
Right.
Because, I mean, he'll leave his head up and throw those slow leg kicks, and just waiting for him to get cracked there. But, I mean, his his combo is left jab, right uppercut. He threw that multiple times against Khalil, and he was landing with that as well. So, give me Buday by decision.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy here. The tail of the tape always gives so much information, the reach, the height. I need a belly measurement for these two. We need to see who has the bigger gut here. I'd say Buday is going to have an edge on it. I think Parisian's kind of fat everywhere. Buday's more around the stomach. Just thought I'd add
Buday's
that
really, really soft around the stomach.
Yeah. I think he used to...
he's bouncing up and down, and it's extremely...
He used to be a gamer. I think that's what they say every time he fights. He played a lot of video games, but better clinch. I also think that Martin tries to be really technical. Like in the Jake Collier fight, he was trying to be technical, which is just a good sign. Same thing for his Breedy fight. And he's not the greatest, but he's going to be better than a lot of these other fatter heavyweights. So yeah, Martin Buday by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Juliana Miller versus Luana Santos. Gonna go with the baby here. Gonna go with Luana Santos. Sketchy fight, though. Juliana Miller is a strange fighter because she's got, I think, a high level of strength for a lot of these girls. And even in her loss, where she was a big favorite, there were a lot of moments that were positive that could come out of that. Her striking looked horrible, but even off her back, she was incredibly dangerous, still with armbar opportunities, and just looked strong overall. Luana Santos, though, she got that judo background, and for someone like Juliana Miller, she gets all of her takedowns from a body lock takedown. And a judo person will just flip those people over, and it's evident if you've watched her film that she can just reverse those positions to top control. And Juliana Miller also horrible balance in a lot of her takedowns versus Veronica Hardy. She tried to take her down and fell on her back, and then Hardy was right on top of her. So I like Santos by decision here. Again, a sketchy fight. You got a young fighter. It's also a low-level female fight. Just be careful there. So,
I mean, both these chicks are super young, but I just think Santos will get the better of her on the ground. I mean, her striking's not all that good either, but it's probably a little better than
I think it's a little better
Miller's.
too. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she's really good on the ground and can reverse those positions. So, Santos by decision.
Yeah, she's also got a double leg. Like, she can dip down, get a double leg. There's a chance for top control there. Not amazing from top control, but if she's just going to hold the position, she can win the fight. And the thing that's scary, I think, for striking on the feet, I think Santos is a much better striker. But Miller will be on the front foot pressuring this entire fight. And it could be hard for a young fighter with not a ton of striking experience to be on the back foot, having a strong girl in Juliana Miller just pressuring her the entire fight. So a little bit of scare there, but yeah, Santos on and off, in the loss I saw, did some headlock judo throws and gave up her back. Not the smartest thing, but other times it's worked out, and with someone not, like I said, not very balanced in Juliana Miller, we'll see a decision. Staying away from it, but I do think Luana Santos gets the dub. Okay, for the next fight, we have Marcus McGhee versus JP Buys. Gotta go with Marcus McGhee. Picked him on like 4 days short notice in his last fight, and he showed up and got the win there and looked extremely impressive. He's also training with a phenomenal gym with Sean O'Malley and Tyler Phillips and all these really good 135ers, and it's evident in the way he's fighting. He looked phenomenal in his LFA fight, defended all the takedown attempts, great scrambles, and in Journey Newsome, it was one-sided. It was a one-sided affair. JP Buys, we already know he has a chin issue. He got knocked down by Montel Jackson like 4 or 5 times. Pretty much was out on like 3 of the punches, and it could have been stopped. And then also knocked out prior to that. But the chin issue, mix that in with this fight being at 135 pounds, and mix that in with McGhee being a really natural big 135er. I just don't think this is his natural weight class. I think McGhee gets a knockout here. I think he gets it early.
Yeah, I mean, Bides has been finished in all of his fights, but that Montel Jackson one where he was rocked multiple times in that. He's going to be wanting to get this one on the mat and wrestle, but I think McGhee's takedown defense he's shown in the past, it's really good, and I think that'll hold up. I think McGhee will find a KO here. He's really fast and explosive, and he had really good pressure as well.
And yeah, pressure, dynamic, like using a lot of different movements, and like a lot of his different attacks too aren't wasting energy. His cardio held up really well. He's got a lot of really good things going for him. Hand speed, combos, I really like everything I'm seeing. The biggest scare to me would be like a JP Buys like guillotine, because he does have that good BJJ background. I just think it's an uphill battle, though. McGhee looked really smart in his first fight. They're going to game plan this one really well. So, yeah, give me Marcus McGhee, KO round 1. I bet on him. I'll tell you the other leg of his parlay upcoming. Okay, for the next fight, we have Francis Marshall versus Isaac Dulgarian. Picking Francis Marshall, this guy I still believe is extremely good. The statistics taken from the William Gomis fight are tough to look at. He didn't connect on a lot of punches, but Gomis is a really tall, experienced striker, and he was really just leaning back out of the way of all the punches. There wasn't a ton of action in that fight. Marshall's trying to be on the front foot, do the damage, and it didn't look great, but Marshall almost submitted him at the end of that fight, for one. And then as well, I just feel like Francis Marshall possesses some of these things that a lot of great fighters have. He's got good chin, really good cardio, a wrestling background, and some heavy hands. The knockout he was getting on Marcelo Rojo was huge, and then even in the Connor Matthews face, that dude's face is all busted up. Dulgarian, this guy, really good wrestler, finishing all of his fights, though, from the ground, and from FAC, if you guys have watched a lot of those fights, or just people that have came from that promotion, the records coming out of there and the people they're fighting are really low level. You saw that with some of the Evan Elder fights. He came out of there, fought a lot of shitty fighters, and trains with a good gym, but I just think that Francis Marshall's going to be able to weather the early storm of the wrestling and get a second-round knockout here. I think Dulgarian's going to slow down. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it there. Dulgarian's going to come out guns blazing. All of his finishes are first-round finishes, and they're pretty early in the first round as well. I think his latest win was 2 minutes and 49 seconds in that first round. So he hasn't even seen like the second half of the first round. So
yeah,
I mean, I think that's really going to wear him. Marshall's super well-rounded, like you said. I don't think he's just going to give up like that. He's got a tough chin as well. I think, Marshall struggled with the length against Gomis, but that's not going to be this matchup here.
It's completely stylistically different, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And, sorry, go ahead.
Marshall's got good feints as well. He's going to be pressuring him in the later rounds, I believe, and I think he'll get a late finish here. And
Dulgarian, if you're looking at his record as well, last dude he beat was a boxer, had no ground game, been knocked out on the ground 3 times prior, then fought this dude who just didn't look like he had any mobility in his body. I was going to pick Dulgarian when he fought Daniel Argueta a couple months ago, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago. But that fight got canceled. I still think Dulgarian's a pretty good athlete, but Francis Marshall just looked phenomenal to me. I think he's a huge prospect in this division. And that parlay I was talking about with Marcus McGhee, I got Marcus McGhee and Francis Marshall parlayed together for 1.5 units at plus 100. I just think that they're both going to do pretty well against their opponents. So, yeah. Francis Marshall, KO, round 2. Okay, for the next fight, we have Montserrat Ruiz versus Jaqueline Amorim. You got to go with Amorim here. Her debut looks weird. She was a first-round fighter throughout her career. She's just been getting finishes on all these people. And fought Sam Hughes, almost submitted her in the first round. slowed down, got tired, then just kind of pulled guard and didn't do anything for the rest of the fight. Ruiz, not very great. From what I can see, she only really beat Cheyenne Velismus from a headlock judo throw, which she did 4 to 5 times in the fight, and Cheyenne couldn't get up. And that was for every round. That's the only reason she won. She looked horrible on the feet, and I just don't think Amorim's going to give her that. And then to add on to it, I mean, Amanda Lemos just tore through her. Can't really discredit her for that. Ruiz just looks uncoordinated on the feet, a little bit out of shape, not in the greatest shape for this division either. And then Amorim, I think she's just going to have the better ground control, and I think she's needed a submission in the first round. First round fighter.
Yeah, Ruiz is coming off of 2-year layoff as well. I mean, I think if she comes out slow, I think Amorim will take advantage of that and get a first round finisher.
Yeah, I think a lot of people take a lot of judgment in the Sam Hughes loss, but I mean, it's Sam Hughes, as she's not very good anywhere. She's just a cardio machine, and she eats a lot of damage, and she can survive the bad positions, so can't discredit her too much for that. That's a girl with some UFC experience, and Amorim was on her first fight, so yeah. Amorim, submission, round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Josh Fremd versus Jamie Pickett. Gotta go Josh Fremd. Jamie Pickett's inconsistent career. This dude has the body and the framework of a John Jones, but the skill level nowhere close to it. And I think Josh Fremd just is going to be better in a lot of places here. In the grappling, he's going to have the power edge. I think he's the better striker. And I'm going to get a Fremd knockout in the second round. I think he's a little bit underrated, flies under the radar. Kind of similar to an Adam Fugit, in my opinion. Both lanky white guys with some power. And he survived a lot of those Anthony Hernandez submissions, reverse positions, and had even Fluffy in some trouble at some times. And then, lost to Trayshawn Gore, but actually had some big punches on Trayshawn Gore before that crazy guillotine. And then, came in as a dog and beat Cedritas Dumas. I think this guy's a lot better than he gets credit for. He's got heavy kicks, heavy punches, he's rangy, and he knows how to use it. I like Josh Fremd here.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Pickett, he's just not that good. He's super long, like you said, long and lengthy, but so is Josh Fremd as well, so I don't think that'll be an issue at all. Fremd's got really good leg kicks, and yeah, he's got heavy hands as well, and a ground game. He's super well-rounded. I think he's better everywhere this fight goes. Pickett will probably fake a nut shot in this fight.
I don't know if he faked the nut shot in the Bo Nickel fight.
I mean, the Tululian one.
Okay.
First one in the Tululian.
I don't even remember it, but I'm sure he did.
Yeah, he's got nut shotted in 2 of his last 2 fights, so that'll probably happen again. And I like Fremd a lot here.
Pickett had no answer for Tululian's ticks to his body, too. And Fremd has that southpaw stance where he could just do the same type of thing. I don't see Jamie Pickett. I'm kind of curious how he's had so many fights in the UFC. Kind of bizarre to me. But I guess he was a feeder fighter for Bo Nickel. Maybe he re-signed some deal just for that. But yeah, I think big power edge, finish sides. The finishing ability on the Fremd side. I'm really surprised a lot of people are picking submission. I think that Fremd's a guy who likes to stand up. So, yeah, give me Josh Fremd, knockout, round 2. Okay, for the next fight, we have Khalil Rountree versus Chris Daukaus. Hard to pick Chris Daukaus. Gotta pick Khalil Rountree. I don't like I actually don't mind the Daukaus brothers. A lot of people hate Kyle Daukaus and Chris Daukaus. I don't really know why. I think they're entertaining. But Chris Daukaus is getting a very strange, different step in competition here. It's going to be a completely different stylistic fight. He went on a roll of beating up either the fattest heavyweights or the oldest heavyweights at when he was going on his knockout streak, to then fighting the biggest black heavyweights that you could fight in Derek Lewis Curtis Blades and Rosenstrike, all power punchers too. So I don't really have as much judgment on those losses because what can you do? What can you do with that when you're weighing 240 pounds, 230 pounds when your opponent's got 25 plus pounds on you? So this will be an interesting fight. Khalil Rountree is going to have the kicking advantage, and I think just a more diverse striking advantage that Daukaus won't be used to because he's been fighting heavyweights. So I think that game will pay off for Rountree. I'm going to stick with a knockout for Rountree in the first round. What do you think?
Yeah, you got to go with Rountree, I think, here. Yeah, I mean, Daukaus is a heavyweight tweener. He's weighed in 242, 243, and 235 in his last 3 fights. But I mean, his midsection is super soft there. I'll be interested to see what he looks like on the scale if he looks a little more muscular.
I looked at him on. I looked at a lot of people who's ranking these weight transitions on Instagram, and I think he looked pretty trim, but he's just going to have that extra skin from weight loss for a while.
Right. Yeah. I just think Rountree is super explosive and will be able to find Daukaus' chin at some point. I mean, Daukaus doesn't. I mean, all of his fights are ending in round 1 or early round 2, so I think Rountree will be able to find a KO here.
Yeah, I really like the under in this fight. Daukaus has always been aggressive, and then mix that in with Rountree, who hits pretty hard as well, doesn't really let up on any punches. And this is a winnable fight for Chris Daukaus, though. Like, completely changed up in competition. The difference being Chris Daukaus not really using a kicking game, he's mostly just throwing punches. He's got some decent hand speed that could actually translate to light heavyweight okay. And Khalil Rountree, he switched his stance much, way different from where he was a Muay Thai style, very tall, to now very low to the ground. And it's harder for him to do kicks, but it's probably good for punching. I do think there's going to be some headbutts in this fight. I think both guys charge in with their heads. And Rountree, we got the southpaw versus orthodox thing. And Rountree likes to dart in with his hands, and I think that there's probably going to be a headbutt here. And knowing the Daukaus brothers, you watch Kyle Daukaus get headbutt by Eric Anders. I think that similar thing could happen here. But
Kevin Holland.
That too, yeah. But it'd be interesting who has better cardio because Khalil Rountree has slowed down over the course of 3 rounds before. In the Dustin Jacoby fight, he looked pretty tired in that 3rd round, even though he won it. And Chris Daukaus never has really gone that far in the UFC, so don't know whose cardio will hold up, but this will be an interesting fight. And gotta stay with the kicker in Rountree. Rountree, KO, round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Tafon and Nchukwi versus AJ Dobson. Picking the underdog in AJ Dobson, and I bet this line as well. I just feel like Dobson is incredibly fast, and Nchukwi coming back down to 185. You know, he fought down here against Jun Yun Park. He's pretty good size for 185, but Dobson is just so fast, and I think Nchukwi coming off 2 knockouts in a row and really struggled to see the punch that Olberg knocked him out with. Could be a problem here with how fast AJ Dobson is, and Olberg got that same speed, so I'm going to go with a round 1 knockout of AJ Dobson. You know, this guy was a prospect coming to the UFC. I had a lot of hype behind his name, and then he fought 2 extremely good fighters in a row, in my opinion, in Jacob Malkoun, who wrestled him, and then Petrosian, who is just a phenomenal kickboxer. So I think that AJ Dobson turns this one around with his slick boxing. What do you think?
I mean, I like Dobson here. He's got a really nice right straight. He throws a lot of feints. I mean, he's doing that stuff with his hands. He's got really good head movement.
I'll do an impression on my thing. He just keeps his hands out like finger poke position, twitching them constantly.
Right. I think that's going to confuse Nchukwi in that first round, and AJ Dobson's got good power, especially in that first round. With Nchukwi being KO'd twice in a row, I see that as a path for Dobson here.
I feel like I can talk about this fight for a while. AJ Dobson too. Like just look at the finer points of these fights. Petrosian was really good kicker, and AJ Dobson looked like he hadn't really been in there with someone who could like kick and just point fight like that dude does. So I also saw that AJ Dobson really never got caught clean in that fight. He's rolling every punch, and didn't take hardly any damage. He obviously didn't fight very well towards the end of the fight where he needed to kind of put it on Petrosian, but, you know, that's kind of just like the inexperience leading into it. I'm happy he got a full 15 minutes. In the Jacob Malkoun fight, he was doing a really good job boxing him up, defending takedowns for the first round and a half, and then Malkoun just hit him with the high crotch single leg dump every time, and it led to a victory. Nchukwi, I think Nchukwi's a really good fighter, but again, that speed, I think Nchukwi keeps that high guard. He has a good body kick. I think that's going to be hard for him to get that body kick, though, because Dobson's just in and out of range, hard to catch. And again, Tafon coming down to 185, he's used to that 205 speed, and it's just going to be an interesting exchange here. I don't think Nchukwi's going to knock him out. I think this is going to be an AJ Dobson finish or a Nchukwi decision. It's kind of in between those two. And I'm excited for this one. I bet AJ Dobson at plus 118 for a unit. I think that he's just a good line here for how fast he is. So, yeah. AJ Dobson, KO, round 1. Okay, for the next fight, we have Polyana Viana versus Iasmin Lucindo. Gotta go with Lucindo here. I just think that she's the better boxer, better striker, high volume, good power, young fighter coming up, and I think she takes this one by decision. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, she's still only 21 years old, 10-year difference here in this fight. I think Polyana Viana might be getting her hopes up with that last KO and might want to stand on the feet here, and I think Lucindo's got the far better striking. Viana, I mean, she's pretty reliant on getting a submission. I mean, looking at all of her wins, they're all...
A lot of arm bars, probably, right?
Yeah, all first-round submissions, pretty much all of them, except for the last KO there. And I think, Lucindo's got the way better striking, and I think she'll be able to take this one.
Yeah, I question Viana's focus on MMA, too. I do follow her on Instagram, and it's a lot of just bikini pics, and you know, she wants to be like that model girl. Lucindo, also coming down to 115 for this fight, is a flyweight, and a little bit, she had that like extra chunk at flyweight. I think that she's going to come down and just look equally fast here. The scare would be her maybe defending some takedown shots and whatever against Viana, because Lucindo does throw a lot of punches in a row, could leave her open to a takedown. But yeah, sticking with the prospect. Lucindo by decision. Okay, for the next fight, we have Cub Swanson versus Hakeem Dawodu. I really wanted to pick Cub Swanson in this fight. The age coming back up in weight to 145, I just don't like that at this point in his career. I gotta go with Hakeem Dawodu. I do think Hakeem looked awful against Juliana Rosa. Like, unrecognizably bad he looked in that fight. You know, he's known to be a kickboxer, and Juliana Rosa completely out-kickboxed him. And Juliana Rosa is known as the eat as many punches as possible guy. And Hakeem Dawodu couldn't even really hit. He couldn't even really hit Juliana Rosa in that fight. And he got hurt just multiple times. Got his back taken multiple times. He just had really no moments in that fight. Cub Swanson, coming back up in weight. I just think at this age, when you lose that muscle, going down to bantamweight, and then coming up to featherweight, you're not going to regain that muscle that you lost at that age as well. And Dawodu missed weight in his last fight, and I think that actually did have a little bit of a play in how he fought. He looked a little bit slower than he usually did against Mike Trezano. He actually looked a little bit faster. I'm going to stick with Hakeem Dawodu by decision here, but I honestly think the line should be closer here. I think Cub Swanson's like a plus 200. I think it might come down a lot here, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough fight to call. But yeah, just that age of Swanson getting KO'd like that. Don't really trust him anymore. Can't really trust Dawodu either. I mean, of his last 5 wins, 3 of them are by split decision. So, I mean, he's not really putting a stamp on these wins. So, really tough fight to call. I mean, yeah, I don't really agree with these odds at all.
And Dawodu as well, something that like kind of pisses me off is like he doesn't really like fight to finish people. He just fights in a lot of ways like Israel Adesanya. He's just sitting at range, not being very active, and that results just in minutes going by and you not really stacking up points and time. He's had 5 decisions. I mean, I can't see past this, but at least 5 decisions in a row, and just hasn't looked particularly amazing in any of them. And this fight's really dependent. I think Cub is a little bit too dependent on his punches at times, and Dawodu could just kick him a lot, which is what Jonathan Martinez did. But can't really trust him. I think Dawodu will look a lot bigger. Like I said, he missed weight, but he's just got that a lot more muscle behind him. And Cub hasn't fought a kickboxer in a while is another thing to consider. He fought Jonathan Martinez, got kind of picked apart by him. But then it's Darren Elkins, got beat by Giga. Again, didn't beat by kickboxers. Beat Pineda, who was a grappler. Beat Grown Gracie, who was a grappler. And then it just kind of gets faded out more from there. So, yeah, don't feel particularly confident in anyone here. Honestly, the dog price on Swanson's intriguing. Otherwise, Dawodu by decision could be just a sneaky little play. So, any more thoughts on this one?
Dawodu by split decision.
There you go. Dawodu by split decision. Okay, guys, for the main event, before we say our prediction, please drop a like, subscribe, guys, and hopefully we'll give you guys some nice bets. You already know some of them for Thursday. So, for the main event, we have Vicente Luque versus RDA. Gotta go, in my opinion, with Vicente Luque. There's a scare here with this brain hemorrhaging thing that's been talked about and released in the last couple weeks, or just even from his known a while ago from the Jeff Neal fight, which was a war. And I read up on it, and it looked like he was cleared to fight in February, so he got that extra rest. And I think that Luque as well, and I think that a lot of fighters probably fight with brain hemorrhaging and don't even realize it. So, Luque had it, but I would assume he's recovered. And RDA at his age, I have a lot of respect for what he does. He sticks around, he has great cardio, he's always in these fights that are super competitive. But I think he's just not meant for this welterweight weight class. He hasn't had the same success. And I think Luque can get a knockout on RDA here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Luque will have the far better striking. I mean, I think it'll just be a question how long Dos Anjos will be able to hold down Luque. What are your thoughts on that?
Luque's like been in his career pretty good at having a get-up game. Bilal got Luque down with some really nice shots, but Bilal's also just got a really fast double, and I don't think RDA is going to bring that same speed in his takedowns. Luque also did a good job scrambling versus Michael Chiesa. He's getting out of these bad situations, and RDA has really good top control, really good grappling and cardio to go with it. But I just think at this level, this size, Luque is just pretty good at this stuff. He hasn't been taking punishment as well, which scares me because his last 2 fights, even in the Bilal Muhammad fight, he had a couple punches that he looked a little stunned from at times. So interesting to see how he will take damage in this fight. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, he seems to struggle with the straights down the middle. He's getting pieced up by Neal's all straight punches. So I'll be interested to see how often Dos Anjos will be throwing those. I mean, I think that's where Dos Anjos could get him if he is going to get Luque, striking wise.
Yeah, RDA's got a really good left down the pipe. And I think the best case of, like, if you want to see those examples is the Renato Moicano fight, where he was just kind of punching him in the face the whole time. And Luque's been on this weird spree of fighting southpaws. Bilal's kind of a switch stance, but a lot of his body kicks make him more of a southpaw. And he's just on this weird roll, and that's kind of been a little bit of his kryptonite, is that left straight down the center. And Luque just doesn't do a great job of getting his head off the center line. And he can just get hit square on the face. And, you know, as evident as it was in the Jeff Neal fight, I think Jeff Neal brings a different power as well to a fight than what RDA does at this age. And, back at 170, you know, easy fight against Barberena, completely tailored to his fight style. But Luque, though, gonna bring that power, always swings hard, that strong left hook, his knees, just really good Muay Thai base. I like him. I'm gonna watch his line. I don't know what's gonna happen with it. I haven't bet him yet, but I think I'm gonna do it. So I'm feeling pretty good about Luque. Again, just RDA hasn't really had that crucial finishing ability, and he's kind of been more successful recently here at 155, in my opinion. So, any more thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like tweening between 155 and 170. I think Luque's the more natural 170, or just don't know how long or how well Dos Anjos will be able to get those takedowns.
Yeah, I'm curious. Luque seems to be very good up against the fence at stopping takedowns. It'd have to be out in the open, and Luque is so good at pressuring people up against the fence, too. It might be hard for RDA to shoot these shots. Not to mention, Luque's just got such punishing knees. If he goes down for a takedown, you could run right into one. So there's that going there. RDA also has a really good body kick, left body kick, and that could be a setup for Luque. Luque got hit by that from Bilal a lot. I do think Bilal's is very fast and very sneaky, and he might be able to see RDA's coming more and maybe snap a right down the pipe on him. But yeah, I really want to see a Luque come back here. Again, I respect RDA so much. Been so consistent. He's one of these, like, Brazilians that just doesn't seem to fucking age and, like, fade out of the sport. He's still good at this age, so yeah. Luque, KO, round 2. Again, stay tuned for the bets on Thursday. Okay, guys, to recap our bets for Sandhagen vs. Font in UFC Nashville. It came out to a losing card. Sadly, the win streak came to an end. Minus 0.91 units now. I had some live bets in there, which saved me money, and I know shitty that you guys can't really follow those, but I'll talk about those here. But starting off, Bahamundez really felt like he was going to be just easy money. And I think he just made some mistakes sitting on the floor too long. Got himself a little bit tired from that. And he let Klein just get off too many shots. And then in round 3, he was kind of too tired to get back in the fight. Sad there. A lot of people had him parlayed a bet on him and kind of fell through. Second one, Jake Hadley. That armbar was so close. I'm so shocked. I really thought that Durden was going to tap. Pretty clear Durden's leveled up his game. His striking just became a lot better. His submission defense is still becoming better and better. Hadley just wasn't ready. I think he underestimated how good Durden's positional ability on the ground and speed on the feet was. But Hadley just got tired too. Again, too much playing around on his back. Needed to get up more often. Third bet, Diego Lopez. Did a really good job. Came in, flying triangle, and, you know, he's a stud. Simple as that. Down further, Sean Woodson for a live bet. After round 1, I think, Woodson was minus 250, and then he was what I initially saw, and then it shifted to 275. I could already tell that Bazuka couldn't get a takedown because of how tall Woodson was, and things weren't going his way already, and I felt like it was a steal for odds for the timing given. And then everything was all Woodson after that, luckily. And then along with that, Billy Q and Damon Jackson, it was after round 1. I think 1 or 2 minutes into round 2, I could already tell that Damon Jackson was pretty tired, and I just already knew Billy Q gets better. I practically got his money line before the fight at minus 188, but then you factor in that Damon Jackson's most dangerous round, round 1, has already gone by, and it's a better price tag. So, yeah, made the money there. For the props, though, with that fight, the under 2.5 with Billy Q, that was disappointing because I really anticipated this one to go under, and it was just violence the whole time. Damon Jackson really shocked me with how tough he was. I didn't understand. I really thought that he would crumple to the body shots and just repetitive punches, but I think Billy Q clinched too much with him, and that resulted in just giving Damon ways to recover and stay in the fight. And then finally, Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font over 4.5. Corey Nurmagomedov made it look pretty easy, and it's just the way it goes. I mean, people want to entertain fight. You know, they praise Khabib and a lot of these people for a very similar style, although Khabib, you know, will go for more submissions and ground and pound. But Rob Font, it's also his responsibility to try to get up here and there. He really didn't even try to for majority of the fight. So, I thought it was a really good card. You know, the main event wasn't that great, but all the other fights are pretty fucking great. That Jeremiah Wells Carlston Harris fight had to be one of the best comebacks I've ever seen, and just Jeremiah Wells is just a freak of nature too, with how strong he is and the endurance. The dude was so freaking sweaty too. You can tell he cut so much weight. But yeah, fantastic card. Didn't do the best, but you can't have the best results every week. Saved ourselves some lost money there, and come back strong for Luque Dos Anjos. So, without any more, peace.
I know. It doesn't matter from the trenches. I'm built like this. The old doubted me said I couldn't do it. The old said I couldn't do it. Look at me now.